Real quick here, this is what I wound up with for my still life. Just a little bowl of lemons. And here's my sketchbook. I don't like these. When I wind up painting up here, it makes this angle, it blocked out. But I've gotten to a point to where the pages, when they're gessoed, they kind of curl up, and I want it flat and solid. I don't want it moving on me. And then here's my colors. I have not cleaned off my palette. That's next on my list. I should have recorded it. I didn't think about it. To clean off the paint off this glass palette, because it's acrylic, all I do is I just spritz it with a little water and it helps it come up. I found I have difficult scraping it up if I don't wet it first. So now we've got a clean palette to start with. I'm gonna start with just blocking in my lemons here. I mixed some yellow and burnt sienna. I know my yellow is really transparent, so I may be asking for trouble here with let me get my yellow out. Just start laying it down. I think as long as I get that burnt sienna while it's kind of wet, it'll be okay. Because see, like right there, I've got that line. But I'm going to leave that line there, most likely. I'm just mixing some that yellow and burnt sienna. If I want shadows in here, just a tab of blue. And I got too much blue to where it's gray. Just a tab of that violet. I'm using a 1/2-inch brush here. I'm sorry, I get focused on getting things on there and I get really quiet. I can't, it's like walking and chewing gum. I can't use both parts of my brain at the same time. I'm going to try and block some of this off. Oh, that works nice. This looks more like an egg over here than it does a lemon. But we'll just trust the process and keep going. I'm usually playing music when I'm working, and here lately it's been Jelly Roll or Chris Stapleton. I have just a Google Home that I use, so it makes it easy when I'm working. I can just holler it out. This bowl is more of a blue tint to it than a yellow. Some of that yellow is going to reflect on the inside. Let me give things a spritz here with just some water. Spritz my paints. Just delved into some white here. White edge. I am very frugal when it comes to getting things to work from, or I try to be. So, what am I trying to say? The bowl that I'm using for the lemons is from Dollar Tree. You can get plain dinnerware for the $1.25, and it works well. It has some nice shapes and get this lighter in here. Just like the lemons themselves, I'm not too proud to go to Dollar General or any of the other discount places and pick things up. That saves more funds for art supplies, in my opinion. This over here. This has really deep shadows back here too. This is just a very simple, nice little exercise to do. If nothing else, to warm up. The color of the shadow, I'm going to mix some burnt umber and ultramarine together, and I like the shadow color that it creates. It's sort of a cool blue. I don't have room for a lot of the shadow on here, but it helps add some depth to it. not going to get a lot of detail on here, but let me kind of break that up so you can tell what that is. Oops. I dipped into the brown and I got, or the white, and I got some brown on it. I filled these up before I started painting. I topped off the colors that needed it. And I see part of my problem is that doesn't need to be there. And I'm just holding this camera, by the way, in my hand. So if it's a little jerky, that's why. I know this is not as loose as some of the other things that I've been aiming at doing, but I feel more comfortable doing it like this. It's not, I'm not going to get it real tight. I want to leave some of the brush strokes and things to see, but oops, sorry, camera kind of went down there, didn't it? Yeah, this acrylic's drying quick. I've got a fan on behind me, if I didn't mention it, and it's making it dry pretty quick. But it's warm here, so I'm gonna keep it on and just make it work. It kind of has a dip to it, and it doesn't. I'm still using that ultramarine and burnt umber mixed together. For these shadows. To make that kind of come out. I'm going to change brushes. I've been using this 1/2 inch, and I think I'm going to switch to this round, partially because I need to spray this with water too. The lemons have these little, get my finger in there, these little green ends, and I need to get this little nub on that lemon. And I didn't notice before I zoomed in that there's that little white spot in there peeking through. But I've got some greenish yellow on my brush, and I'll just kind of give an indication of I don't know why I'm trying to get any more detail in there. I want to leave it leave it looser, like I said. Can I remove some of that? I lost some of the highlight in here. Anyway, I'm starting to pick away at it, and I don't like that, so I need to be thinking about how I can wrap this up. I don't have this defined very well. Oops, I don't know why I did that. I need to get that little light area in there. There's 6 lemons in this bowl. And it what is it, the good luck for feng shui is 7. Is that right? I'm mixing up some more of that ultramarine and burnt umber. I'm going to soften up some of these edges here on these. This has a shadow right there. I can just soften that up by adding some yellow here. I'm realizing I didn't get that little nub very well. We're not going for tight detail, right? edge needs fixed there. I like how that yellow looks on top of that after it dries. It gives a nice shade to it. I'm gonna get rid of that bump. And then add some more white so it looks like it's supposed to be that way. I'm seeing the edge, this edge over here. I need to make it correct. And to do that, I'm going to mix some more with that ultramarine. And I don't mix up a whole lot when I'm doing just studies like this. But see how this needs to be a little more blue. This is a pretty simple color palette. Look at that bump there in my little nub. This is one of those times I wish I had like several brushes and not just the one I'm using, so I could have them loaded up and ready to go. There's kind of an orangey color on there and some of the, so I'm going to take some of my red and just put it in where it's the darkest. Just more of a like a wash than a opaque brush stroke. I think that's probably as far as I'm going to take it, since it's just a study. I could put like a violet back there and really give it some contrast, but I think I'm going to leave it with just the basic colors here. See, this looks like it has kind of a lump sticking out there. I guess it does, actually. The actual lemon does. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I see that this is sticking out too far. That's why it's looking like it's got a lump on it. So I'm just going to go whoop and get rid of that. I'm not going to worry too much about that paint coming through there. But I am going to get these shadows back. Oops, I erased that, and now I see what I'm... And this is more like a wash again. This is just lighter. So some of those lines show up. And I'm gonna make another quick mix of just a small amount. And I'm gonna call that good. I don't want it to be too tight. I could keep going if I wanted it to be tight and get this shadow in here more accurate, but I kind of like these colors showing through. And on here, I may go in there and wipe that little yellow out with some white. And I'll add some of that. I could really keep working that to get those details, but I'm going to leave it. I think it's more interesting. And this is just in a sketchbook. It's not, it's an exercise. It's more of a... That helps. Okay. Now I'm going to call it good. Just to note, I did go in and lighten this a little bit because when I looked at it, this looked darker than these over here, and this is closer to you. So I wanted that highlight. This is the lightest spot on the lemons. So I went in and lightened that just a little bit. And usually just what I put on here is the date, the point of the piece. So I'm just putting the date and then study, and that it is acrylic, because I have used oil in the sketchbook and oil pastel. Kind of like that with the light dabbling in there. Anyway, there we go.